세계 금융시장의 중심, 뉴욕 한복판, 뉴욕 거래소 현장에 와 있습니다. 세계 금융시장의 중심, 심장 하면 혹시 어디를 떠올리실까요? 저는 지금 여기 보시는 것처럼 뉴욕 한복판, 뉴욕 거래소 현장에 와 있습니다. 지금 ETF 시장이 한국에서도 굉장히 뜨거운데 사실 미국에서도 마찬가지라고 해서 제가 여기까지 달려와 봤는데요. 지금 미국 투자자들은 어떤 ETF에 관심이 많고 또 세계 금융시장에서 우리 한국 ETF 시장은 어떤 위치에 차지하고 있는지 한번 오늘 이야기를 좀 나눠보고자 합니다. 그래서 오늘 아이스의 두혜진 씨를 모시고 좀 이야기를 나눠보고자 할게요. So, hello, 두혜진. Hi. Thank you for having us here. It's so wonderful, actually.
Oh, thank you for coming. It's my pleasure today.
Great. So, for Korea audience who might not know you, maybe a little bit of like introduction, like what you do, what your team does.
Yeah, sure. My name is Chen.정.Bo, lead the product development team at ACE Indices, where we maintain and manage and develop new indices across multiple asset classes: equities, currencies, commodities, fixed income, volatility, mortgage rate lock, including many thematic indices.
So you look over all the global products.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
So our job is to work with clients, understand end investor needs, and develop new indices that will target what they're looking for.
Yes, I mean, then I found the perfect person to have a talk with. So first, like looking at the global market 2025, what are the most significant changes that you have noticed like over the past few years?
I think a couple of key trends. First, we've seen a lot of active ETFs enter the market. And what that has led to is essentially existing ETF issuers have expanded their product ranges to include these active ETFs alongside passive ETFs as well. Also, we're seeing a lot of new firms enter the ETF space. So we're seeing mutual fund issuers enter in the ETF space to launch these active ETFs. Another huge trend is the kind of rise of cryptocurrency ETFs. So we're continuing, so Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs. We're continuing to see strong demand, a strong launch pipeline for those types of ETFs. Another area that's very, very strong is thematic ETFs. That's been the case for many years, but it's continuing in 2025 with a focus on AI and semiconductors. And finally, we're seeing a lot of demand for options-based strategies. And that's really just this drive for yield and high income. And that's leading to a lot of covered call types of launches and other types of strategies.
Yeah, I mean the ETF market, it has surpassed over like 15 trillion like US dollar, and also it's mostly from US, right? Korea. Products like covered call strategies like gold or AI tech-driven, those thematic ETFs are gaining huge attention from the retail clients. So I kind of wonder, what is kind of tracking the American retail clients nowadays? Like, do you have any?
So I think thematics are very strong. We're seeing not just interest in AI and semiconductors, but also interest in some of the hard assets. So for example, gold mining companies or electricity infrastructure, kind of the infrastructure that's supporting both the cloud boom and the digitalization of the world economy, as well as electricity, which is driving all of these different areas.
I mean, it's kind of interesting to see that covered call is also gaining powers here, and it's also gaining powers. It's like a world phenomenon thing, maybe.
Exactly, yeah. I think options-based strategies, alternatives, strategies, have been, on the sidelines for a long time. And there have been indices out there, buy right, put right, covered call type strategies. But I think in the interest rate environment of the last few years and today's kind of strive for yield on the part of investors, we're seeing renewed demand for options-based strategies globally. And, I think there's different ways of approaching it. Some are on broad-based indices, others are more narrow focus-based option strategies. And I think that's just really meeting the needs of a wide range of investors.
See, I mean, like these option strategies, they didn't exist like a decade ago, but they're now. So honestly, sometimes I feel like there's no more new product to come out, but it's coming out and out and out again. So Do you have any like what kind of like recent developments or maybe recent thing that you have supported that found it very innovative?
We've been focused, this being the NYSE, we've been focused on some of the early company growth area, right? So for example, we just launched the NYSE IPO index, which holds companies that have recently listed on NYSE markets. So it's really a play on some of that early company post-listing growth. A lot of new companies, especially in the tech space, that are listing on the NYSE markets.
Only the IPO company.
Exactly, yeah. And then also, we're continuing to look at new data sets and develop out new thematic indices as well. So I think there's a lot of new things going on.
Yes, and you and like our ACE ETF, we had worked on one of the index that was the U.S. focused manufacturing index, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So what was the idea behind creating it?
I think that's a perfect example of where we as an index provider collaborate with KIM and ACE ETF to essentially combine our ideas and come up with a strategy that can represent a real world kind of megatrend. And so what we did was we started with a small and mid cap universe with the NYSE US Small and Mid 2500 index. And then we essentially looked for a couple of things. One, we filtered for manufacturing and industrial type companies based on their business line. Second, we looked for those companies that had a very strong US focus. We measured that based on geographic revenue. And then finally, we added on a couple of fundamental tilts. So we're looking at positive trailing revenues, positive forward earnings estimates, and then also a current ratio greater than 1. So what's the end result? It's really a profitable, high quality, US focused manufacturing and industrial index, which is, in the context of today's markets and globe, is a very fitting theme.
Yeah, I mean, new things, they just are going to keep pop up, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, so like from your perspective, because you work globally, like I'm curious how you actually assess the Korean ETF market in global perspective. Like how would you?
It's funny you say that because I think the Korean ETF market is very similar to the US ETF market because there's so many different options. And I think in a way, the products cater to less sophisticated investors and also more sophisticated investors as well. I'm impressed by the level and the complexity and also the how well built these indices are and these products for Korean investors, ranging from thematic ETFs to options-based ETFs and the like.
Yeah, a lot more to explore in Korean market.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Please, okay, great. So, thank you so much for sharing your insights. To wrap up, maybe do you have any final thoughts or perhaps like a broader insight about where you see the index is heading in the future?
I think, we're at the forefront of what we call like indexing 3.0. And I think that's really going to take several forms. We're going to see increased demand for customization, right? People want to take these broad-based equity and fixed income index universes and really kind of slice and dice and try to get that specialized exposure that will tie to a real-world trend or a specific investment use case or client preferences. Two, I think we'll continue to see strong growth in fixed income. There are a lot of issuers who are continuing to kind of build out their core fixed income lineup, treasuries, tips, corporates, munis, but also at the same time, they're looking at enhanced fixed income strategies as well. And then finally, besides thematics, which will continue to be strong, it's just a question of which thematic and whether it's tech, biotech, or kind of, more geopolitical. I think we're going to continue to see multi-asset, ETFs rise, and for that we'll have multi-asset indices that are built as well.
Just adding more complexity and more sophisticated and more like interest coming into the whole product itself,
Exactly.
right? It's evolving. Thank you very much for your team and having setting up. We hope to meet you maybe in Korea next time.
Looking forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you.